What's going on, guys? Welcome back to the Bench Mob. My name's Danko. I'm with my co-host Marcus today, and we've got another exciting video prepared for you guys today. So, as you may be aware, our last video we did ranking the top 10 centers in the NBA caused a bit of a stir, but it's what we're all about on the Bench Mob. And today we're going to be doing the power forward rankings and also the small forward. Two separate videos, but today we're going to start this video off with the power forward rankings, and I'm really excited about it because there's some really great power forwards in the NBA, and I'm sure this draft is going to cause as much controversy as the last one did. Marcus, are you excited about this one?
Yeah, absolutely. I feel like with this one specifically, the power forwards, there is a lot of top-end talent. Like the top 5, it's absolutely stacked, and then you move down to 10 to about 6, obviously, and it's still very good. But there's so many guys who could be swapped, and there's so many guys who will miss out on this top 10 list. But nevertheless, look, all these guys are like top 10 quality, and moving forward to the next season, we're basing it off last season a little bit, but also moving on to next season, who we think will take that next leap to be a top 10 player.
Yeah, 100%. And I think, like I said, we can definitely interchange a lot of these guys, and some guys we might consider them as power forwards when in realistic terms they're small forwards. And same with the center spot. There was guys that we thought were centers that played center last year that could arguably be power forwards this year, etc. So there's always going to be interchanging positions, but nevertheless, like you said, let's get on with it. Let's get straight into it.
Absolutely.
We did a blind coin toss just before. You won the coin toss, so you'll be picking first.
Yeah.
And I'm excited to see who you're going to pick here, because it's going to throw my whole draft off, just honestly, like you did last time.
Yeah, this number 10 spot, this will change the landscape of the entire draft. And because I know who you would have taken 10, and I know for sure I'm not taking that guy at 10. The guy I will be taking at 10 is none other than Denver Nuggets power forward Aaron Gordon. I think last season, he's just like, when you picture the best role player in the league, to me, that is Aaron Gordon. The guy puts together, it's not even a stat line, like 16, 6 and 3 assists, it's cool, a block and a steal, but he's a Swiss Army knife. He never has a bad game. He plays his role perfectly next to Jokic, Murray, Porter. He can complement any star, and I think he's proven to be a winner, a defensive stopper, someone who, when their stars aren't making shots, he comes in and steps up to the plate, and he can deliver in big moments. And well, he's a part of a championship team. I think Aaron Gordon is more than deserving of a top 10 spot, and I'll let you justify now, I guess, why you think Draymond, briefly, you think Draymond would have been here at 10, but yeah, for now I'm going with the NBA champ, Aaron Gordon.
I mean, it's hard to argue with that, to be honest, and I think, he might even have another increase in his production the more comfortable he gets playing with Jokic, Murray, and Porter Jr. So, again, I don't hate that selection, and I think it's very justified. But the reason why I have Draymond is you obviously saw that without him in that brief period of time last season when they didn't have him due to that whole Jordan Poole saga, and when he came back in the lineup, how vital he is to that team. Although, yeah, Steph still went off, I think you lack that defense that Draymond brings as that defensive anchor. You obviously don't get as much offense in terms of points, but I think what other stuff he brings to the court is so much more important. You don't need him to score the ball. You've got Steph, you've got Clay, you've got these young guys coming up through the ranks. You've got Wiggins. So he doesn't necessarily need to score the ball to be a super impactful player. And I think defensively, rebounding, the assists and getting open shots to guys like Steph, Clay, and the like, I think that's just invaluable. And I know we troll him a lot about Mr. Triple Single and all this sort of stuff, and he does have a loud mouth and a bit of an ego and an attitude at times, but I think that's the kind of edge that the Warriors need if they want to get back to that championship level. And I think you even saw when Draymond went missing in that series when he got suspended after he dropped 29 points, it really showed how important he was to that series when they lost to the Cavs. Because if he didn't get suspended, who knows? Maybe that series is completely altered. But that's a discussion for another day. But at the end of the day, it just shows how important he is. And obviously, he's getting towards the back end of his career now. But I do still think he's a really important part of that Warriors engine room. And I think without him, they're not the same kind of team. So for that reason, I have him at 10. But again, like I said, very justified that Gordon can be
the number 10
the 10th slot.
Yeah. Yeah, no, I completely agree. I think Draymond's one of the most, not only, I've become a fan of Draymond, I guess, over the past couple seasons, and I think his leadership qualities are they're real elite. So, not just his game, but just what he brings to the table. But nevertheless, I just want to get into the deep dive of this draft. Your ninth pick is on the clock.
Yeah. So with the ninth pick, I'm gonna select Mr. Karl Anthony Towns from the Minnesota Timberwolves.
Ooh.
And there's arguments that can be made that, we can say that he is arguably a top 5 power forward, but to me, one, he didn't play often enough last season, and I'm not saying that's going to be the same story this year, but obviously him being healthy is a big question mark, and when he does come on the court, that whole relationship that he had with a guy like Rudy Gobert last year, and obviously that experiment sort of failed in the first season, that's where the question marks lie, and can they coexist with one another? And obviously then his production will take a hit because of that. And defensively, there's still a bit of a question mark about Cat, although we obviously saw that potential in his early years, and when he came out of college, that's pretty much what got him drafted number 1, was the fact that he did show that defensive upside and potential that he can bring on that side of the ball, but we haven't seen it enough in the NBA. And yes, he's probably arguably one of the best big man shooters of all time. That's undisputed. I think he's just very inconsistent with his production year on year, and for that reason, I couldn't put him any higher, but I still believe he is, on his day, one of the most elite big men in the NBA, especially that game where he dropped 60 points and he went on that tear. I think it was a few seasons back, and I think, again, that's literally the kind of Cat we want to see night in, night out if the Timberwolves expect to be a contender. And as predicted by ESPN's average win prediction, winning 47.7 games and being the second most wins in the West, which I completely think is absolutely ludicrous. But again, discussion for another day.
Yeah.
Today's about the power forwards. But yeah, that's the reason why I couldn't put Cat any higher.
I
think it's just inconsistency and obviously, the struggles sometimes on the defensive side of the ball alongside a guy like Rudy Gobert. They should be an elite big man combo. And the fact that they're not sort of devalues him a little bit.
You know what? I think that pick, it's more than justified, because although, like you said, he could be top 5, at the end of the day, we're basing this off last year, moving on to this year. He could, we're not saying he can't reach that top 5 again, but Cat only played 29 games last year, and he looked great in that FIBA World Cup. I mean, he looked phenomenal, in fact, but if we're basing this off last year, 29 games, all these guys have probably been a lot more healthy, and the fact that Cat even made this list, it's probably a testament to how good Karl Anthony Towns really is. And also, I feel like with that prediction, the Wolves either have to start off really, really well, or if they don't start off well, it's just got to crumble, and then the front office will then again be the scapegoat, and we're just going to see that story all over again. But nevertheless, with my 8th overall pick, I'm selecting none other than Toronto Raptors 4-man Pascal Siakam. I mean, it's no secret this guy puts up all NBA material stats, 24, 8, and 6, with a steal and a block and a half. Sorry, half a block. But he's like the motor for this Raptors team. He's been, I guess, their star for a while now. He's never probably leaped into superstardom, but nevertheless, he's been a very quality player in this league for a long time, and I think Pascal, honestly, you could argue that he should be higher, but there's so many young guys coming up who are bound to break out, I think, and take the power forward, I guess, ranking over a guy like Pascal Siakam.
Thrown my whole draft off completely again.
I mean, to be fair, I didn't even have Cat on my thing, so someone's missing out here, which is crazy.
Yeah,
but
exactly.
These are what these drafts are here for, man. You know what I mean?
Yeah.
We also got to keep in mind Anthony Davis, because I snubbed him on the center list, even though he probably will be a center. But hey, it's done now. So Anthony Davis probably will have to make this list, and I have to think, how can I slot AD and remove one of these guys? I have no idea.
Should I say who I would have had at 8 and then pick who I actually will pick at 7? Or do I just pick 7?
If you want to go for it, go for it. If you don't, you don't. If you do, you do.
Yeah. So I actually had Pascal at 6. So he was a little bit high on my list, but that's because obviously he made an all-star team last year, and I think he was close to being an all-NBA player this past season. And also, when I look at it, I think he, with this new coach, this new system under Darko Rajakovic at Toronto, he's going to bring that European style of play to the Raptors. Obviously, he's been in America for a fair while now, has Darko, but I think he's going to bring that, that style of play, that high pick and roll, a lot of, two-man game, a lot of dribble handoffs. It's going to get Pascal a lot of touches. Not that he didn't get a lot last year, but I think that's just going to improve. I think that was a conservative pick, and yeah, it was the right pick. I had Evan Mobley at 8. I mean, I could put him higher. I could select him here at 7, but I'm not going to do that because I think you're going to maybe select him at some point. But
yeah, I will select.
With my seventh pick, this is going to throw you off a little bit as well. I'm going to go Zion Williamson. And the reason why I'm going to take him at 7 and why I didn't have him in my top 3 or 4 players is he just can't get on the court.
Yeah, no, fair enough.
We've literally seen how dominant Zion can be when he's on the court. I don't think there's a single player in the league that can guard Zion once he's got a full head of steam. And if he's in great shape and we can trust that he'll get on the court, he's easily in the top 3 power forwards in the league. He could arguably make the case that he's in the top 2 because when he's out there, how efficient he is with shooting the ball in terms of getting into the painted area. I think he's literally at like 70-something% when he gets to the painted area. It's like literally impossible to stop him. And then add in that, his explosiveness on the defensive side of the ball, his versatility. I mean, at one point in time, he was playing the point forward role. They experimented with that. So he has shown signs that he can be a great playmaker. The only question mark will be how can he coexist with a guy like Brandon Ingram. But all in all, I think 7's a conservative take because in some cases you could almost argue that based off how he was playing last year and not being able to stay on the court in his previous years and still question marks about it this season, you could almost argue that he shouldn't even be in this top 10 list, but that's just ludicrous and I wouldn't have done that because on talent alone, he's way more talented than half these guys on natural ability. But again, his commitment levels, his professionalism, all that stuff with Mariah Mills that was in the media and all the stuff with that porn star, that's obviously put a really big question mark over his potential and whether he can reach that. So for that reason, I have him at 7. But then again, if he can prove me wrong and stay on the court and play as many games as he can and the most games in his whole career to date, then there's no reason why by their season's end he can't be in the top 3.
I like the pick. I think once again, like Zion, yes, he is a top 4 power forward if he is playing, but you're spot on. Like if Zion Williamson isn't on the court, how can we justify why he would be a top 5 over some of these guys who are playing? Like when we move up further in the list, a guy like Giannis, Anthony Davis, even Larry Markkinen, which will be my 6th overall pick. I think Larry coming off an all-star year, you can't he's earned the right to be considered an NBA star. The guy put up 26 points, 8.6 rebounds, 2 assists, almost a steal and almost a block, and only 2 turnovers. And the fact that the Utah Jazz for a long time, I know they didn't make the playoffs. Last season at one point, they were considered one of the best teams in the West. That's all testament to Larry Markkinen. I think he's earned the right to be on this list. You could even make the case that he's a top 5, but I think 6 is a very safe spot for a guy like Markkinen, and he's someone who shoots like basically 50, 40, 90. He's one of the few players who can do that. He almost did it last year. He was like a percentage off, so I think he's earned the right to be on this list, and I think once again he's going to have a phenomenal season, and I think he will, when the season's all said and done, he will be a top 5 power forward if we are to do this again at the end of the season.
I think I had him at 4,
yeah.
But that 6th ranking is justified. I think the one part of his game I'd love to see him improve a little bit is his playmaking. He only averaged like 2 assists a game last year. And again, it might not be his game, it might not be what the Jazz require him to do, but I think with the way the modern big man's going, I think if you can average at least a 3 or 4 assist mark, and show more flashes of that playmaking ability, that would really cement him as one of the elite big men. Not that he's not. That's a stupid call by me, but you know what I'm saying.
I do understand what you're saying, yeah.
He'd be in that category with guys like
an MVP candidate.
Yeah, correct. Your Embiid's, your Jokic's, not on that
Sabonis.
maybe that level, or Sabonis, that kind of stuff. But yeah. I think no matter what he does, the fact that he can shoot efficiently, being that 50-40-90 as a big man, and obviously have a massive jump in production, definitely shows that he's still got another level maybe and another notch that he can go up. But you know, there's always a risk when you have such a big year and such an improvement in your production from the previous year. There's always a chance that you can stagnate and plateau a little bit. Oh, okay.
This is a shapeshifter right here, this one.
It is. So this is the 5th pick, right?
Correct.
Okay. No, I think we can get something done here. So with my 5th pick, I'm going to be conservative because I don't want to take this guy too early, and I don't want to leave this guy that I'm about to select off the list. So with my 5th pick, I'm going to select Julius Randle from the New York Knicks.
Okay.
See, there's an argument to be made that I could have had him lower, and I would have had him anywhere from 5th or 6th. Obviously, you had the 6th pick, but I think with Julius, it's a fair ranking because, again, he's a really dominant regular season player. We've seen what kind of production he can have when he, gets the ball given to him, and he's, can shoot from all 3 levels. He's got that playmaking ability. He's got that elite rebounding ability. Defensively, you might want to like him to see him take it up a notch a little bit. But all in all, I think what he's done, being that all-NBA level player last year, making an all-NBA 3rd team, being an all-star, I think all of that is justified for him to be a top 5 power forward in the league. I think the only question mark is his postseason performances. He's a very good regular season player, but I feel like his game can be shut down quite easily when it comes to the postseason. So for that reason, I couldn't have him any higher. So I think he's yet to really cement himself in the playoffs or have a really big performance to sort of set his name in lights to say, I'm here, I'm built for this playoff basketball, I'm built for this kind of moment. So we saw when teams let him shoot the ball, and when they clog the paint and he tries to drive in, he doesn't have much of that offensive versatility. Again, he might have worked on that this past summer, might have some new tricks up his sleeve and some new moves in his bag, but from what I saw last year and the previous years and going into this year, again, fantastic regular season production, still a question mark about playoffs. So for that reason, I'll have him at 5.
Yeah, I think that's justified. Like when you have a top 5 seed in the New York Knicks and, Randle and Brunson, obviously, that is a massive difference maker, but I feel like Randle shut down the city of New York. Obviously, he didn't want to be there at some point in time, but now it looks like he could never leave. So I think a guy like Randle, he does deserve to be on this list, and although he might struggle come postseason, the regular season, at the end of the day, he has done enough to earn the rights to be a top 5 to top 10 power forward in this league. My next pick, this might seem controversial to some, but I feel like, look, he was in his rookie season last year, number 1 pick, Paolo Banchero. I feel like this guy, look, in his rookie year, 27-4, and the Magic sucked, but he showed glimpses that he could have been an all-star in his rookie year. I think this year he'll take his game to a whole nother level, and as will Franz Wagner. But I could see Banchero averaging close to like 25, 8, 5, a steal and a block, and there's just no way we leave him off this list. And I think the Magic might surprise some people as well with not only Franz, but Markel could have a breakout year. And even a guy like maybe Jalen Suggs puts a little bit together and they even make a play and run. So Banchero, I think he deserves to be on this list, and he will be my 4th overall pick.
I think it's justified. It wasn't actually a stretch at all because I had him at 3. Yeah, I had him at top as my top 3. And honestly, everything you said makes sense. And the fact that I think the only question mark with him is his efficiency. Last year, obviously being a rookie, had some poor shooting months, and he had some slumps there where obviously impacted on his shooting splits. As rookies do, everyone hits that rookie wall at some point. He averaged like 40-something% from the field and 29% from three, and I think we know that he's a gym rat. His mum was a WNBA player. I think he was born to play basketball. He was born to hoop. So I think he's one of those guys that wants to get better every single year. And that experience with Team USA at the FIBA World Cup, although they didn't obviously have the result they wanted by winning the gold medal or even medaling at all, that experience will be invaluable to him. And the fact now that he's coming into a fresh NBA season with a season under his belt already, we saw what he could do. I think it's just going to transition so well for him this coming year, and that Magic team looks really exciting going into this coming season. There could be a push into that playing spot, or even nab one of those. If they have a really, really peak kind of year, could possibly be a 6th or a 7th seed. But
yeah,
I think playing seems about right for them at this point in time. But Paolo is definitely going to have a big year, and for that reason, I had him as one of my top 3 power forwards.
Just needs to put that Italy jersey on. Take that US stuff off.
Yeah, he's a bit of a... The Italians weren't happy with him. They're all calling for his head. So yeah, you can't piss Italians off. I feel like that's the one country you don't want to step on their toes, because they'll definitely come to bite you in the ass. That's for sure. But without further ado, with my third pick, my official third pick, that is, because I know who you're going to take here.
Yeah, I know who I'm going to take next. Yeah, exactly.
Yeah.
So, hey, hint. I will likely take him, but
yeah.
I'm
just thinking, if I take the guy that you want to take, will you take the guy that I want to take it to? So that's the big question.
Wait, what do you mean? Oh shit! Wait, who is there? Who are we missing out?
It's the guy that can play 2 positions and played a lot of the time.
Oh no, I feel like
as a power forward this past season. When he got traded. Yeah,
okay. I feel like, if you take whoever you pick, I'll probably take if you take someone else.
Okay.
So, that means old mate will miss out.
Who's going to miss it? Right.
Maybe. I don't know who you're taking. I don't know who. Yeah, I don't know who.
All right. With the third pick, I'm going to take your boy from the Los Angeles Lakers, Anthony Davis.
Sick.
Because we snubbed him in the centers draft, and yes, although he is a center going forward, in my opinion, for that Lakers team, and he played a lot of good basketball last year at the center spot, he has numerous year after year, or made claims after year, I should say. Sorry, let me repeat this. So yeah, year after year, he's made numerous claims that his preferred position is basically at the power forward. So I can completely understand why we would have him at power forward and why he snubbed him from the center list, because ideally that's his preferred spot. But like I mentioned in the last video, and why I made that justification for him at the center spot, and why I'm going to put him at 3 here and make the justification on your behalf, is because he is arguably the best front court defender in the whole NBA.
Yeah.
I believe, in my eyes, he's probably, up there this year to win Defensive Player of the Year and be in MVP considerations if he can stay healthy. I think that's the big question mark. Again, you could argue the case that he could be in the top 2 power forwards in the entire league. And obviously, if you interchange some of these guys, they might not be considered power forwards, but based off the list I've got, I think, he can definitely make that claim, and he can almost make the claim that he's a top 10 player in the entire league. But again, the question mark is always about him staying on the court. Same with Zion. But when he's on the court and what he can do and the production that he brings and how important he is to that Lakers squad, I think it's just it's a no-brainer to have him in this particular slot here. And the other thing is, we've seen those comments that LeBron made saying that, it's AD's team or whatever. Stephen A came back with those comments and said the only reason LeBron is putting that claim on AD is because he wants someone to step up, because no one else around the roster can ever step up for LeBron. So I don't know about that claim from Stephen A. Smith or that take, but at the end of the day, yeah, we know what AD's capable of in his prime, when he's injury free and when he's got nothing on his mind and nothing, interrupting his potential there. So I think for that reason I have him at 3. He's arguably the best two-way player in the NBA when up and running.
Yeah, I feel like AD, look, as a Lakers fan, obviously there's frustrations with the injuries, but at the end of the day, at the start of every single season, everybody says this: Anthony Davis can be the MVP of our league. He's an MVP candidate before the season starts, and then obviously he plays like one, he gets injured, and then the whole storyline kicks in. But I wholeheartedly believe this is the year Anthony Davis will be more healthy, play 60-plus games, and he will be in that MVP conversation, I think. But the guy who I will be taking at 2, who, if you haven't figured out yet at home, it will be Kevin Durant. Like you mentioned to me off camera, KD played more power forward than small forward last season for the Phoenix Suns. And moving forward, when you look at the Phoenix Suns, I guess, depth chart, it's looking more than likely that he will play the power forward, as the backups are Yuta Watanabe, Keita Bates-Diop, Nazir Little and Drew Eubanks. I think there's no doubt that KD will be a 4-man now looking at it. Justifying this pick, I mean, what's there more to say? The Slim Reaper, Kevin Durant. Like, what can't this guy do? He's a freak of nature, scores from all 3 levels, rebounds the ball well. He's proven to be a secondary playmaker, almost at the Golden State Warriors with Draymond and Steph, and I think he can take up that role where he can be like a point forward with ease if he really wants to. He doesn't need to score 40 a game. He can have 18 and 7 and 6 and completely dominate and be the best player on the court at any given time. And it's not just that, it's his two-way ability that makes him such a freak in nature too. He can block shots, he gets steals, and he just does everything, and he's a winner. And although he's made some questionable decisions in the past, it's hard to dislike this guy.
Yeah, couldn't agree more. I mean, the only question mark last year was obviously only playing 47 games.
Yeah.
Again, he's had that Achilles injury, which didn't really stop him in that year after, or whenever he came back from that. He obviously almost played better basketball than when he was in his prime, which is crazy to say. But 50, 40, 90 pretty much throughout his whole career. Great defender. Yeah, pretty much incredible on switches. Can guard smaller guys, can guard bigger guys with his length and bother them with that. But yeah, in terms of not having to score the ball now as much as he used to, because he's got those weapons in Bradley Beal and Devin Booker on the offensive side of the ball, he can take his 7 shots and still damage you and impact the game like no other player in the league. So yeah, it's a justified pick, and I sort of thought, you know what, if I pick KD at 3, or if I don't pick KD at that 3 spot, I'll have to pick at least someone that Marcus.
I was going to pick him, just to be clear. I justified it in my head. I was like, I'm not putting him on my small forward, and I have altered that list now, and I think the small forward list is looking a lot more realistic, I guess, because KD, like you mentioned, he is a 4-man at this point in time, and I couldn't leave him off this power forward list now. Thinking about it throughout this draft, I was like, what am I going to do? But no, I had to put him in.
No, it's a justified call. And yeah, in those 47 games, 29.1 points, 6.7 rebounds, 5 assists. Incredible numbers for a guy that's, obviously not as old as LeBron, but he's getting onto that age. He's, not getting any younger, but he's still playing with amazing efficiency and producing amazing numbers on the court. So jury's still out about that Phoenix Suns team, but I think they look really, really scary. So it's all going to come down to that bench depth. But with KD on your roster, you always have a chance. So yeah, great pick. And finally, I think this is pretty much a given. And I think, most people know who we're going to pick in this number 1 slot. And we both have a unanimous selection here, and that's Giannis, the Greek freak, Antetokounmpo. So what more can be said about this guy? 31.1 points per game last year, nearly 12 boards, 6 assists. Was arguably one of the best defenders in the league as well. His two-way presence and how scary he is on that side of the ball. And then what he can do now with the addition of Dame going into next season, how much more open that offense is going to be for him. And people underestimate Dame's playmaking. So I think everyone's saying, oh, well, they had shooters before, or, you know, they had good shooters. What do you mean they can't just build the wall like they used to? Because with Dame being able to cross half court and being immediately able to shoot any shot he wants and it being a comfortable shot for him, it's just going to make guarding Giannis so much more harder, because you can't just leave Dame so wide open, or you can't, you know, not crowd him, because he's going to pop that shot. But then if you leave Giannis open, he's just going to storm in and, you know, be the dominant force that he is. He looks like he's put on some weight as well, which is incredible. Yeah, and it hasn't looked like it hindered his game at all. And he's been working with Hakeem Olajuwon, which to Gilbert Arenas, he thinks that's a waste of time, and, you know, criticize that move a bit. But I love that he's got that Mamba mentality in him. I think he's one of the true players that's, you know, all these guys say they admire Kobe and they admire his, you know, work ethic, his grit, this and that. But not all of them show that killer instinct. To me,
Giannis acts on it. Like,
yeah. And even with those comments, you saw how he made the comments about not wanting to train with other guys because he has to be too buddy with them. Like, that's something that Kobe and the guy, like even Jordan, would do in the past. Like, he wouldn't want to train with guys that he's going to compete against, and he wouldn't want to act nice to them if he's trying to go out and kill them on the court. And that's the kind of killer mentality you need to have if you want to be the greatest or one of the best players in the world and one of the greatest of all time. So yeah, I think it's a pretty easy selection to have Giannis at the number one spot.
Yeah, no doubt. Giannis, you've pretty much wrapped it up perfectly there. I feel like he's doing the thing, you know, like Dame's there, obviously. He's saying, I want to take a back seat to Dame, this and that. But we know, like, I feel like we know who's top dog. And obviously, Giannis is one of those guys who he's never going to take away from Dame's production because he's a team-oriented basketball player. Just the perfect pick. Couldn't script this list any better. I actually feel like we nailed it.
Yeah, I think the only guy that we obviously both had in our top 10 that somehow got snubbed was Evan Mobley.
Oh, we've left Evan off the list. I mean, in hindsight...
Yeah, that's the one.
I mean, I had him at 8 initially, and you had him at 6 initially.
I had him at 8. No, I had him at 8 as well.
Oh my God. Evan, we are so sorry, man. We at Benchmob, we rate Evan Mobley so highly. I feel like, fuck, these lists are just so hard. Like, he does deserve to be on here over so many guys. Like Aaron Gordon, if I would have knew Evan Mobley wasn't on this list, in hindsight, yes, Aaron Gordon, I would have got rid of him. I would have got rid of Aaron Gordon for sure. But besides that, the Karl Anthony Towns one really, like, it didn't throw me off because I think he should be on this list. But after that, I feel like that's where, because I didn't have him on my list for whatever reason.
Yeah.
So it changed the entire landscape of this draft. But, I mean, in hindsight, our top 10 list would be probably, Evan Mobley over Aaron Gordon, and then keep the rest the same.
Yeah, I'd say pretty much. I reckon we got everything else right, to be honest. You could obviously interchange a couple of guys, a couple positions up or down. But for the most part, I think we did get it right. And obviously, like we said, there's always a disclaimer on these videos. Because we're doing an alternating selection, we don't really know what the other guy's going to do. It sort of can throw out our whole draft off. So that's by no means any disrespect to Evan Mobley. Because like I said, we both had him at 8. We both had him in our own top 10 list. But when you have to select one pick at a time,
it's not so easy.
It's always going to cause...
And this is why we talk about it briefly, but we don't like... do a planned draft or anything. We just do this in the moment. So it's like a real NBA draft scenario.
Yeah, really get the feeling like how a general manager would be on draft night. So again, don't come at us in the comments section because we left Evan Mobley out. Again, I believe he's going to have a really, really strong year. He was a defensive player of the year candidate last year. And had an incredible year on both sides of the ball. I think he just needs to get more consistent with his three-point shot. I think he's he's got some great tools. He's got great mechanics on his jump shot, but I think that's the next step for him, to be more consistent with that mid-range, that three-point shot. But then he's got all the athletic tools, and he's gifted with all the traits that a really solid, elite, superstar, big man, power forward kind of player has. And yeah, it's only a matter of time before we see Evan Mobley be solidified in this top 10 and not having him snubbed by mistake.
Yeah, absolutely. I mean, when we look at the other snubs, I'll just note some quick names very briefly. Keegan Murray, I feel like that he's not a top 10 yet, but who knows? Maybe he takes the ascension and comes in. Christian Wood, that all comes down to playing time and whether he gets the tools given to him. Draymond Green, who you obviously had. Kyle Kuzma, well and could be. And as could Jabari Smith Jr. But I'll read out 10 to 7 just to, do a little rewind on the draft. So at 10, we had Aaron Gordon. At 9, we had Pascal Siakam. At 8, we had... at 10, we had Aaron Gordon. At 9, we had Kat. At 8, we had Pascal. And at 7, we had Zion. And at 6, we had Lowry. And then I'll let you read out 5 through 1.
Yeah, so at 5, we had Julius Randle. At 4, we had... Who was it actually at 4?
Ben
Curry. Paolo.
Yeah.
Sorry, Paolo, because I'm looking at my list here.
Yeah,
at 4, we had Paolo. At 4, we had Paolo. At 3, we had Anthony Davis. At 2, we had KD. And at number 1, we had none other than Giannis. So I think it was a really solid list. And like I said, I'm pretty happy with it. Again, we just discussed it then, what we would have done differently going forward. But again, that's the whole drama of these live drafts. So yeah, all in all, pretty happy with this list. And I think... really enjoyed it. It was really, really fun. I love these sort of live, on-the-spot kind of drafts, and you have to really get your juices flowing and really get your mind racing to sort of
think about who you're going to... You know what I mean? Gets the energy.
Yeah, 100% it does. Yeah, definitely. But yeah, I think that pretty much wraps it up anyway from this power forward draft. Stay tuned for the small forward and the remaining positions. The shooting guard and the point guard will come later on at some point in the coming week. But look out for this one, and then the small forward one will be the 2 most recent videos that we'll be doing related to these rankings. But without further ado, this has been your boy Danko from the Bench Mob.
This has been Marks from the Bench Mob. We've appreciated having you guys on the channel today. If you guys do enjoy these types of videos, make sure you need to leave a like, because we do want to hit that 1K. We need you guys to share the video by liking it. And if you did enjoy, why not leave a sub as well?
That's all we have time for, guys. So we'll see you in the next video for the small forward rankings. Peace out.
We out, baby. Drop the mic.
That was good, bro.
Hello, yes, you at home. This is Commissioner of the NBA speaking to you, Adam Silver. Here's a message in courtesy of Bench Mob in collaboration with the NBA Store. When Bench Mob hits 1,000 subscribers, they'll be giving away a free NBA jersey to a lucky subscriber. So just do all the things listed on the screen. God damn it.